I fear not the dark itself, but what may lurk within it. Welcome to Lurk, bringing you creepy, strange, and bone-chilling stories, with your hosts, Tim Harrison and Jamie Jackson.
Welcome, Lurkers. This is Jamie.
And Tim.
And we're here to bring you episode 3.
Episode 3. What is episode 3?
Episode 3 is going to discuss the UFO Ranch in Washington State.
Not the one in Utah?
No.
Why not?
That's a later episode.
Premising something here, I hear.
Oh, yes.
So, let's talk about the UFO Ranch. The UFO Ranch is located where again?
So it's located in Trout Lake, Washington, and it's about 13 miles from the base of Mount Adams.
Mount Adams?
Mm-hmm.
What's so special about Mount Adams?
Well, I'll give you a little bit of history of Mount Adams because that kind of plays a role in the background information for the ranch itself. Mount Adams is 12,307 feet tall, and it's the second highest peak in Washington State. It's also the largest active volcano in Washington and among the largest in the Cascades.
You're telling me a 12,000-foot mountain is
an active volcano. It's actually, if you look at the map, and I have a map here, and I'll put a link, obviously, in the show notes. Here's Mount Adams. If you go to the west, Mount St. Helens would be right here. It's not on this particular printout, but it would be right there. So, same area as Mount St. Helens.
Sounds like a lovely place to live.
I actually remember Mount St. Helens erupting because I was alive then. You were not. It was 1980.
I was born 16 years after that.
That's right. Anyway.
That was you on that one.
I know.
That was you on that one. That wasn't me.
I know. That was me pointing out my age this time, not you. So Mount Adams is also referred to as the UFO Mountain.
Why?
Because Native American legend told of a secret doorway in the mountain from which otherworldly beings with healing powers would emerge. And the Yakima tribe, whose reservation is located north of Mount Adams, they've reported strange lights in the sky over the mountain and strange lights on the mountain for hundreds of years.
No, you did this by like writing it down, the little graphs they do, or the little, what is that? What is the images on rocks called again?
Pictographs, I think, or
petroglyphs.
Petroglyphs. Pictographs are like the thing the kids do. Petroglyphs.
Petroglyphs. Are they recorded based off of that, or like passed down through?
Probably more, I would say, oral history. A lot of Native American tribes have a storytelling history, so I don't know. I didn't look into it that far.
That'd be crazy.
I'll look it up and let you know.
Sadly, I know you will.
Yes. In addition to the Native American legends, there was also in 1947, a pilot and a businessman actually had a sighting of UFOs flying over Washington State, and it was a pretty significant report. It was late in June in 1947. The gentleman's name was Kenneth Arnold. He was 32, businessman and a veteran pilot, not a new pilot.
He's been around the block.
He's been doing this for a while. He was flying over Washington State, and he saw something strange. He said there were 9 silver objects that were moon-shaped, oval in front, convex in rear, that they moved in a rocking motion like the tail of a kite, and he thought they might possibly be airplanes. But he clocked them as they flew from Mount Rainier to Mount Adams, and his calculation determined they were going about 1,200 miles per hour. At this point, he realized they had no tail section, and that, plus the incredible speed, meant they were not like anything he had seen before. He said they were so shiny that they reflected the sun like a mirror, and he said they were like big flat discs. This sighting is actually what started the term flying saucer.
So, Mr. Arnold somehow can... I like to know what his mathematical genius to look at something and say, that's about 1,200 miles an hour.
Well, I think it had to do with knowing the distance between Mount Rainier and Mount Adams and timing how long it took to fly between those 2 points because they're very... I mean, you can see them. They're very distinct. You can see them from a jet airplane.
I would love to see something move at 1,200 miles an hour.
Well, he did.
That's not cool.
Yeah.
Especially during that time.
1,200 miles per hour is twice the speed of sound, and it's significantly faster than any known aircraft. I think there was a rocket that flew at 1,200 miles per hour.
So scary.
Rockets typically don't move the way these moved. So not a rocket. And I believe the military acknowledged that they had not fired off any rockets. So
also, I mean, at least from what he was describing, you don't see any flames or anything coming out the back.
No.
That's kind of how a rocket would be fired, am I correct? Has like a smoke trail kind of deal coming to it because, it has to be propelled by something.
I am not sure. Usually, I mean, when I've seen like shuttle takeoffs and things, they usually got exhaust of some sort.
I think the last time I checked, they don't reflect the sun.
Not the ones that I've seen, no. Slightly, not like a mirror, not like he was referring to.
And I ain't gonna lie to you, if I was him, I saw 9 of those bad boys, and supposedly they're rockets, air quotes on this one, I'm running. That's a problem. You got 9 rockets coming at you, that's a problem.
Well, I don't think they were coming at him, he just saw them.
I don't care if you saw them, that's a problem. You're not Rambo, you go on. Get him out of there.
So he sees this, and at the same time, there were several witnesses on the ground in both Oregon and Washington that corroborated the story. They saw similar objects, but from a different viewpoint. They were on the ground, and he was flying. And he did say that he might be off by a couple hundred miles per hour in his calculation. I mean, that's really not very significant.
I mean, I'm just going to put this out there. Given the time this happened, 1,000 miles an hour, 1,200 miles an hour, 1,400 miles an hour, even if it's 900 miles an hour. Yeah. You're cooking. You're
exactly,
moving.
Especially with the strange shape.
Yeah.
It wasn't shaped like a rocket. It was a disc. So it was a flying saucer, which is what started that whole term.
I think that's the whole thing here, too. It's a saucer. Like, we're
right.
talking about where a saucer originated from. So if someone can identify as, I don't care if it was a rocket.
Right.
It looks like a saucer.
Yes. Interestingly enough, he finally lost sight of them when they descended below the western slope of Mount Adams. So they were coming down to the ground on the western side of Mount Adams.
Not today. No.
His account never changed any of the times that he told it.
So he kept the same story?
He kept the same story. He was actually receiving quite a few phone calls. He was ridiculed. I think he may have been threatened once or twice.
It's just wild what he saw.
But he was not. He wished he had not shared the story in the first place because of all the attention he had gotten, the ridicule that he dealt with.
What about the people that can corroborate a story? Have they faced anything?
It didn't say anything about that. They weren't really listed by name so much. He was the one who made the first report of what he had seen, and these other people had made reports at the same time, but they were mentioned more to just add validity to what he was talking about. Interestingly enough, a few weeks later in July, the infamous Roswell crash happened in New Mexico.
That's a cool winky dinky.
Yes, or is it?
I don't know. That's a missile.
Yeah. Anyway, that brings us to our main topic of conversation, which is the UFO Ranch there in Trout Lake. It's also known as Gilliland's Ranch and the ECETI Ranch or the Satpa Sanctuary. And it's located, as I said, outside the small town of Trout Lake. There's not much in Trout Lake. There's like a hotel. Yeah, that's it right there. It's like a hotel. There's a cafe that we went to that's really awesome. It was good. We went there a couple times because I've actually been here.
Oh, you actually been there?
I've actually been there.
Fun fact, you've been to a lot of places that we covered.
I've been to some creepy places.
Which is a little scary because the one place I actually want to go to is pretty scary, which we'll talk about that later.
Yes. It's named, when it's referred to as Gilliland's Ranch, it's named after James Gilliland, which is the owner of the ranch. And I do want to share a little history about him. He was once a successful real estate salesman in California. He didn't really have much of a interest in mystical things at the time, but when he was out body surfing, he got pulled under by a sneaker wave, which is also known as a rogue wave. It's a wave that's typically much larger than the others, and it's unexpected, hence the term sneaker wave, because it
sneaks up on you.
And James said that when he was pulled under, he shot through a dark tunnel to meet what he called the source, and the source gave him a choice. He could either go on or he could go back to Earth. And he chose to go back, and when he did, he woke up puking on the beach. So basically, he had a near-death experience. He almost drowned.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of people have similar explanations and say that they, going through a tunnel, that they've met some individual thing, whatever you want to call it. James chose to call it the source. And they make that decision to go back or to continue on. maybe we'll look into that sort of thing in another
I think
episode.
we should.
I think we should.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
They all have very similar stories about what happened.
It's just weird that he was in the water and he went through a black tunnel and he came out to this room where was something speaking to him or was like talking in the air to him?
It didn't say.
All right.
It doesn't specify which one. He just said he met the source and gave him that choice and he chose to come back.
I'll be pooping my pants if he said he saw like some like 7-foot creature chilling there. It was like, you come with me or you go back.
I think I'd go back.
I think I'll go back too.
Yeah. He wakes up on the beach, and after his experience, he kind of discovered that he had changed in his way of thinking. He didn't really care about the real estate business anymore.
But he was very successful in it.
He was very successful. And instead, he began to seek a more spiritual path. So he started meditating and getting more involved in mystical, spiritual sort of things. New age type things.
So the guy who had no experience or no interest.
He had a mild interest, it
Mild.
said. He says his near-death experience blew me wide open. It shifted me up into what I call the interdimensional mind. He began having visions of a place that was surrounded by mountains. And when he finally visited Trout Lake, Washington, he saw Mount Adams, and he said he knew that was the place that he had been having visions of, that he had dreamt about.
I have to ask, was my man on like LSD, anything like that?
I don't think so. I do know that the ranch has a strict no drugs, no alcohol policy.
Okay, never mind. I was just kind of curious. What year was this?
In the 80s.
In the 80s?
Yeah.
I mean, 70s was, marijuana. It was like
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying, I don't know about then, but I know now he has a very strict policy, and part of that is because you can't, he says that causes problems with being able to...
What he causes problems?
It causes
problems.
Like, spiritually, you can't, your brain is altered. You don't want your brain altered if you're trying to become a better person and more interdimensional, as he refers to it.
Well, 200%. You don't want to take a dab of LSD or acid, or I don't know. I don't do drugs, but anyways,
neither.
You do one of those. All of a sudden, you're staring up and you see her in Daisy. All of a sudden, it's a spaceship. You know what I mean? You don't want to be that kind of guy.
Yeah, so it is good to clear that up. I can say that there is a strict
you actually
policy.
Met him.
I had conversations with James. Yeah, he is an awesome guy.
Of course, I have to ask this. I mean, I don't want to be the guy, but if I don't ask this, someone who's listening to this is going to be like, well, clearly he's on drugs. Come on, guys, he's on drugs. And it's like, okay, well...
I don't think so. When I met him, I would say no. And like I said, the policy is no drugs or alcohol.
And you got a pretty good bull scat radar, so we're good to go.
Usually. He ends up buying the property because this is the place that he's envisioned, and that's how the ranch started. It was first known as the Sattva Sanctuary, and it was meant to be a retreat for spiritual healing, just to promote all the new things that he was into at that point.
I mean, that's still even new now in 2021. A lot of people are starting to get into that spirituality and, that mind-body connection kind of deal going on.
Right. 8 years later, he's meditating in the house when he hears a voice in his head that said it was coming from a ship. And when he stopped meditating, his sister ran inside yelling that she had...
I told you. Yo, I told you.
I'm leaving that in here. I'm just letting everybody know. We record in Tim's gym. Tim keeps telling me that it's haunted.
I told you.
And I believe him because there actually was a body found back behind the building that we're in.
I'm going to go look. Hold on. Give me a second. I'm going to go look.
Okay, you go look.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
There's nothing there.
Nothing.
And the door into the ladies' room just closed. And it's not a door that stays open. It automatically closes. So anyway.
It's a heavy door.
It is a heavy door.
It's a very heavy door.
As a woman who uses the ladies' room, it is a very heavy door.
Well, then near the slam ball, the resistance tubes and bands will move periodically by themselves and stop by themselves. Mm-hmm. Don't know why.
Yeah. Now, they're not moving now currently, but just wanted to leave that in there because weirdness started happening here while we were recording. Okay, so 8 years, what I had mentioned before, 8 years after he bought the ranch, he's meditating. He hears a voice say it's coming from a ship. His sister runs into the house yelling that she sees a UFO that's hovering above the house.
Okay, that's just normal day.
Yeah. So that's when he started with the ECETI Institute, which is also what the ranch is referred to, the ECETI Ranch. And ECETI is enlightened contact with extraterrestrial life. He began actually having visions and communications with extraterrestrials.
That's what he's saying.
Yes, that's what he's saying, that he started communicating with them.
And based off one experience where he's meditating, someone can validate that he said he heard something talking to him that says he's in a spaceship, and there's a spaceship above his house.
And there was one apparently above his house. That's what started it.
Yeah, that's not cool.
ECETI was created to help with the public awareness of the ET reality and to assist people with connecting to positive otherworldly beings. That's basically their purpose, their phrase for that.
That's a very long, name.
It's not their name. That's what they're for. That's what they're doing.
Oh,
That's
okay.
their purpose. Since then, James and the members of ECETI try to share one main message from those otherworldly beings, and it's pretty simple. It's stop warring each other and on the planet. Be kind to each other and the planet, because we're headed for major environmental collapse. So it's peace on earth, goodwill to men, keep the earth clean, because it's not Uranus.
You went there.
It's really hard for me not to make a Uranus joke. I can't help it. I had a bumper sticker that said "Keep the Earth clean. It's not Uranus." It was my car first car I ever owned.
Oh my god.
James says that there is a base underneath Mount Adams that is used by the benevolent ETs. The ones James has had contact with are from the Pleiades. The others are from Andromeda, Orion, Sirius, and Arcturus. The more malevolent ETs, such as Greys and Reptoids, apparently are said to use a porthole near Mount Hood, which is south.
So, like the song Devil Went Down to Georgia?
Yeah, it's in the south.
So my question is when he's talking about these malevolent or benevolent.
No, benevolent is good.
Benevolent's good. Malevolent's bad.
Bad, yeah.
So benevolent. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Benevolent. Yeah.
Benevolent. With all that going on, did he either witness them going down, or did they tell him that's where they are?
It's possible it's a combination of both.
Okay. The only reason why I asked is, he's making contact with them apparently. So.
Yeah, the information was given more as this is the knowledge I have, but didn't explain where the knowledge came from.
Okay. Hey, sometimes.
That's, in what I read, it was just, he said, this is who has a base under Mount Hood, and these other ones have one underneath. No, not Mount Hood. They're under Mount Adams. Mount Hood's the bad ones.
I'm just curious why they picked Mount Hood as the bad one.
I have no idea. I think Mount Adams is a prettier mountain than Mount Hood. Just saying.
I just don't want to piss off any mountain as active volcano.
I'm probably gonna, yeah, well. True, and maybe the active volcano plays a role. I don't know. It hasn't erupted in I don't even know how many years.
Don't do it. Don't do that. A lot of years. Don't do that.
Probably till they jinxed it.
Yes, you did.
Probably going to erupt the minute we launch this episode.
You're that person right now.
Yep, I am.
That person right now.
So the area around the UFO Ranch is considered a hotbed of paranormal activity, but not just UFOs. There's also strange cryptids like Bigfoot and the lesser-known Bat Squatch. Which, I know. I don't mean Bat Guano. It's not Bat Dookie. His name is Bat Squatch.
A bat of what?
Bat Squatch.
Bat Squatch.
So I'm just going to briefly talk about Bat Squatch because this isn't what we're talking about more UFO stuff, not...
I'm a child. You need to explain to me Bat Squatch.
So it's a creature that is said to have purplish skin, glowing red eyes, wings like a pterodactyl, and a head like a primate or a bat. Not too far from Mothman. I'm going to point that out there a little bit. The glowing red eyes, the wings. It's said to be tall, humanoid. But there's no link between Bat Squatch and Sasquatch other than the name. I think they just picked Bat Squatch because it had wings, and Squatch from Sasquatch is really the only reason why it came about. Both creatures have been seen on the property.
And now, do they coincide with UFO sightings, or are they kind of like...
I'm going to say the UFO sightings are so prevalent, it would be difficult, if not impossible, to separate the two of them, because there are UFO sightings almost every day here at the UFO Ranch. Mm-hmm. And then Bat Squatch is there occasionally, so how do you say
One can't go without the other kind of deal.
I mean, they're there all the time. I mean, I don't know how often bat squatch. I didn't see bat squatch. I did see UFO activity.
Okay.
I don't know. It's possible. Probable. I mean, if you compare it to Mothman, Mothman, I think, was there due to UFO activity.
Okay.
Or because of it. This has a similar description. I think it's possible that it has something to do with it. Not necessarily Bigfoot. I mean, he's there. He's there. Some people believe Bigfoot has something to do with aliens, but I personally don't. Bat Squatch could be totally different. There's not a whole lot of information on Bat Squatch. So there's an area in the ranch, it's called the Field of Dreams, and that's where most of the stargazing happens, and that's actually where we camped. I'm going to pull up some photos to show you, Timothy.
Oh, this is new.
You may have seen the photos before. So I'm going to share these photos with you. This is actually our tent there in the Field of Dreams, and Mount Adams in the distance.
That's beautiful.
It's absolutely gorgeous. And we will be sharing these on our social media
That looks so fake.
platforms. Nope, it's not. That is Mount Adams.
That's awesome, though.
It is pretty cool. That's just some photos.
That's a beautiful view, though.
It is gorgeous. And Mount Adams, it's 13 miles away, but when you're talking a 12,000-foot mountain, it looks like it's right there.
That's insane.
And it's gorgeous. The Field of Dreams, that's where most people go to stargaze there. James has welcomed many visitors. They've included NASA scientists, military personnel, physicists, members of the CIA, Special Forces operatives, Boeing engineers. All of these people had some sort of knowledge about whether or not what people were seeing were ours or not.
So, to anybody out there who's a skeptic, right? This should start ringing some bells.
It should.
Especially when you get NASA. I'm sorry. When you get NASA involved, like that, they're involved with space.
Yeah, I mean, everybody mentioned is aware of what things the military has, what they're capable of for the most part. And actually, one of them said that they saw ships that were not ours. That was a direct quote from one of them.
I mean, I'm just going to put this out there. NASA just doesn't show up anywhere. No military personnel just doesn't show up anywhere unless it's for something.
I mean, you have people who have their own hobbies and opinions, just like any profession. So some of them could have already gone expecting it to be UFOs.
Okay.
To play devil's advocate a little bit
fair.
here.
That's fair.
In any profession, people have their own opinion about things, no matter where they work. I'm not saying that they went there being skeptical 100% and saw this stuff and changed their mind, but they are more knowledgeable about aircraft, what the government may or may not have, and how it acts. So they have a little bit more knowledge than most people.
Okay, that's interesting.
But he's always invited people like that who are skeptical to come and watch, to come and see what's going on.
Hey, that's the ultimate test of a true spot. Hey, if you don't think it's real, come here.
Exactly.
That's fair.
And there are about 3,000 sightings a month at the ranch.
It's 100 sightings a day.
It's
about one every hour.
Yeah.
You're guaranteed almost one every hour.
That's an average. So sometimes a little less, sometimes maybe a little bit more.
Actually, no, that's more than that. It's 4 an hour.
I'm not doing the math, so.
Yeah, it's 4 an hour.
It's a lot. But that's my math. It's a lot.
It's 4 an hour.
It's 4 an hour.
It's 4 an hour.
I believe that. There was an electrical engineer named Dave Ackers who investigated the lights, and he wasn't convinced of anything else other than the fact that these things are real and that on occasion they seem to exhibit what you would interpret as intelligent behavior.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Yeah. One witness said that they saw what they thought was a shooting star moving down towards the horizon, and then it suddenly shot up the opposite direction. So meteors don't typically do that.
Well, last time I checked, they don't do that.
I don't know of any aircraft that do that. Many witnesses have seen what James refers to as powering up, and this would be the acting in an intelligent behavior.
Like pulsating?
Yeah, what happens is there will be a light that you see in the sky that looks like a star. Say it's about the size of a grain of rice. And then it will suddenly get really, really bright and gets larger to where it's like the size of a dime.
So like it literally is powering up.
Yeah,
almost.
like it's powering up.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. James also has an uncanny way of knowing about what time things are going to show up.
Like a sixth
He'll
sense.
say, yeah, like 10, we're going to start seeing stuff at 10. At 10 o'clock, they're going to be here. No joke. And it happens.
All right, do you think he might be doing something?
I don't know how unless he has a spaceship. And
It's fair.
We're talking stuff that is way up in the atmosphere, not anything that's close to Earth.
That's creepy.
The way I learned about all this, the UFO Ranch, Dave Schrader, who is a talk show host, AM radio host, he hosts Darkness Radio, and I do want to plug it. I think it's a phenomenal paranormal talk show.
It is.
I have been listening to it forever. I don't even know how long it's been around, but it's a great show, and he's a great guy.
I've been about for a week.
You've been listening to it for a week?
Yeah, because this is our second redo of this.
Yeah.
This is the first time he said it. I was like,
you went and listened to him? Mm-hmm. It is a good show. I met him at a phenomenology convention in Gettysburg several years ago, and really nice guy, great talk show, and he's just genuinely a good person. So I am going to plug Dave. He's not a sponsor. He doesn't know who I am or anything, but I think he's great. He visited the UFO Ranch as part of his paranormal show.
Okay.
Somebody told him you need to check this place out, and he was kind of skeptical.
Right, you went there like, let's go see what's going on.
Exactly. He went to check it out, and James was telling him, things were going to happen, and I think Dave was kind of like, yeah, sure.
I mean, how many times someone tell him, man, you come at this date, it's going to happen. He's probably, all right, I pulled up, it doesn't happen. So
exactly.
He's probably like, all right, man, you're blowing smoke.
Right. He said that after he visited there, he actually left a changed man. During an evening of sky watching, Mr. Schrader saw what he described as a blue jellyfish or butterfly-like object flying through the trees. And James told Dave that since the ETs had chosen to show themselves to him, he would continue to see things. And on his plane ride home, Dave watched from his window as a ball of light shot into the center of the Big Dipper, and then it shot off in the opposite direction.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I don't like flying to begin with, okay? But second off, if you can look out and you see something like that, yeah, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, that would freak me out a little bit.
I don't know how you can fly again. Nope.
I don't know. Dave returned a second time to the ranch. This time he went with the crew of the former television show on A&E called Paranormal State. I'm not a fan.
You're not a fan?
I'm not a fan. So he went with them for their television show to do an investigation. And while they were there, they recorded strange moving objects in the sky, aircraft powering up, just, the same as that we've mentioned here. And James said, around 10 o'clock this is where I refer to 10 o'clock. He said 10 o'clock is the time. And at 10 o'clock, that's when they saw something power up, get really super bright, and then disappear.
I wonder if aliens work on the same time we do. Because, time isn't human illusion or a way to measure things.
I don't know.
Kind of curious on that.
Yeah. I don't know. You have to ask them.
I hope to never run into them, Jamie.
Well, some of them seem to be very nice from what I understand.
They're going to take one look at me and just want to poke me.
Possibly.
I don't want to be poked. I don't like needles.
So this episode prompted my trip to the UFO Ranch, and it was during Paranormal State used to have what they called field trips. And they were like get-togethers with fans, and they organized one to the UFO Ranch where you went for the weekend, you camped. You could camp at the ranch, you could stay, there was like a little hotel nearby, and you'd stay there for the weekend, and there were different activities that they would do, but you got to be at the ranch. This was kind of, I don't think I would have ended up going if I had planned something myself. Like this was the opening that now we can go. There's other people going. This is a good opportunity. So May 2009, my cousin Kelly and I, who you'll hear about her 50 million times.
Gotta have her on the show one day.
I'm hoping.
Yeah.
We traveled out there.
And how was your stay?
It was interesting.
It was interesting.
I did take a domestic flight. I did not get picked up by a UFO in a field and taken over there, because that's what a family friend said. They said, so are you taking a flight out via airplane, or are you just standing in a field and waiting for them to come get you?
Well, I guess your UFO Uber didn't make it in
no,
time.
The UFO Uber did not come get me. Our first night there, we opted to get there a day early and stay a day later than the field trip was running. We got there, we set up camp, met James. We ended up going to bed pretty early because it's a 3-hour time difference. We're from the East Coast, flying to the West Coast.
You were hurting.
We were exhausted.
Remember when I went to Vegas, I was hurting.
Yeah, and we had, a long drive. You fly into Portland, and then you drive to Trout Lake.
Oh, so you still got to drive.
So it's I think it's 2 hours.
Ooh.
I think. It's 2009 I did that. It was a little while ago.
Oh, yeah, but your flight, though, was probably, 6-9 hours?
The flight was long, and we had to get up early to get the flight in the morning to fly out there. And then we had to drive. Man. We get there, we meet him, we find out where we set up. Then we have to set up our tent and get our camp ready. So we were done.
Oh, yeah. Toasty.
I think we took showers and that was it. So we went to bed.
Snoozeville.
Yeah.
Party of two.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because while we were in the tent, half asleep, James and a few others started yelling for us to come out and look. And there weren't many people there. It was James, a couple people who are at the ranch a lot of times, and then the event was being catered by a local caterer, and they were staying there. So it was like the catering people. Okay. They're yelling for us to come out to see. There was wild stuff going on, and they're carrying on and yelling, and Kelly's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, I don't think I can move. And we're like, screw it. And we stayed in the tent. We went to bed. So the next day we come to find out they saw what they called a triangular ship, which basically were 3 lights in a triangle shape flying together. So whether it was one whole ship or 3 separate, they saw that flying over. And then they saw another one that was started out as a triangular ship, but then changed into like a cylinder shape. Mm-hmm. And also the lights changed color.
Oh, I bet you that was pretty cool to see
that.
And
apparently that came lower. That was relatively low over the field.
But you said something before. Something about a spaceship could land next to you, you wouldn't wake up.
Yeah, I was going to say that the next morning we were talking to James and he was telling us what we missed. We kind of jokingly said, we were so exhausted that one could have landed outside of our tent and we never would have noticed. And he said, well, they've landed here before.
What? Yes. Look, Jamie, so no offense. I'll be upfront, as honest as I can be right now. I would look at that dude and be like, you're blowing some smoke.
I had the same thought.
Okay.
I will say I am a skeptical person. About most paranormal stuff, I'm always looking for the obvious answer because that's the only way to prove anything in the paranormal field for the most part.
Well, correct. I mean, I'm not sitting here trying to say, I need to witness it or something like that. Because, that's just, that's one way of thinking. I would love to be part of seeing that. But I ain't going to lie to you. I don't want to see what walks off that ship, if you guys remember.
No, I am afraid of aliens. They terrify me. So I come across as being very skeptical and almost disbelieving sometimes, I think. I worry that I come across as being a complete, total, you're bullshitting me kind of attitude because I don't want to accept in my head that these are real because they terrify me. I believe they're real. I believe that you can't be arrogant to the point of thinking there can't be life on any other planet.
Right.
You can't compare life on this planet and expect, we're carbon-based life forms, so they keep saying, well, this planet won't support carbon-based life. Okay, well, maybe it supports another kind of, life based off of something else. So I believe 100% things are out there. I believe 100% that people have been abducted. I totally believe that, but when somebody's telling me that, it's like I don't want to, it's like denial. I don't want to accept it.
So this is where I have an issue with this, okay? Mm-hmm. And it's not the issue, it's the issue with you. You have played me some of the scariest EVPs I've ever heard. And you're like, oh, yeah, it's the average day at Gettysburg. It's all good to go. Everything was all groovy. But you're going to tell me you're a little scared of something in a ship? You don't want to acknowledge it? Because I ain't going to sit here in front with you, okay? I'm petrified of the EVP and that ship, all right? If they both come at me, listen, me and Bigfoot going to be best friends because I'm moving up in the mountains. It ain't happening today. I don't want the predator to hop up out that bad boy and come look for me in the woods.
The way I see it, ghosts were people that are dead. I've never experienced any ghost that's been threatening.
If you wake up, okay, because your house is haunted. If you wake up and something's chilling there staring at you, okay?
I'll piss the bed.
Okay, I'm just going to put this out there. I'm going to feel the same exact way as I'm standing in the field and E.T. wants to come back for a visit around two because it ain't happening.
But ghosts were people. In my way of thinking, ghosts were people. Mm-hmm. I know people. I know human.
You know people?
I mean, I know people. But I know human character. Cryptids, they're animals. So if you know animal behavior, they're scary, but not super scary. Aliens are completely unknown. We don't know what they are. We don't know what they want. They're totally different. So I assume they're totally different. Maybe they look just like us. I don't know.
You think we could kill an alien?
I don't know. If they're a totally different life form based on something totally completely different? How?
It's a fair question.
I'm going to bring up like the movie Signs. Have you seen that movie?
Yes, I've seen Signs.
Oh, thank God you've seen one that I've mentioned.
That's okay. You know what? That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So in the movie Signs,
but what year were Signs made again?
I have no idea.
I think it was like 91.
I have no idea what it was made. So in the movie, they kill the aliens with water, which you wouldn't necessarily assume that that's how you would kill something, because that's something we need to live. How do you kill something if you don't know what it's based off of?
Oh, Jamie, by the way, Signs made in 2002.
So this millennium.
And I did see it.
Thank God for that.
Yep.
Because you haven't seen Goonies or Wayne's World.
Just saying. I just want to put it out there. I probably watched it back in 2010.
So 8 years after it was made.
Well, I was old enough to understand what was going on.
Oh, well, that's fair.
I didn't want to say that, but you know.
Oh, geez.
Sorry.
Anyway, to get back, because we went off on this wild tangent about aliens. And
damn, now I feel bad.
Why? Because we went off on this tangent?
Yeah.
That's okay. It's on topic.
That's fair.
It is on topic. I mean, this is about UFOs and aliens. So during that same conversation with James, where he says that they've landed there before, he also has mentioned that he's been on their craft before.
Hold on. Yeah. My man says they land.
And he's been on them.
Been on them.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, come on, Jamie.
Which I have one of those faces that doesn't have a filter.
No, it tells you.
So it's very difficult because, like I said, it's hard for me to accept things because I don't want to. Not because I don't believe them, but, I wasn't sure. I hadn't seen anything. At this point, we hadn't seen anything. We were in the tent, asleep. They're yelling about stuff, but who's to say there weren't a whole lot of people there? We didn't know. We had no idea. We had not, at this point, witnessed anything.
Okay.
So I was a little not sure.
Put it in a reserve tank, see if it proves itself.
Yeah. I mean, I had watched the television show that featured the ranch. That's what got my interest in it. And it was fascinating. It was pretty cool. So I saw what they recorded for the show, but I myself had not seen anything yet.
Okay.
So during that conversation, we also were commenting on how it felt very mellow at the ranch.
Very relaxing?
It was extremely relaxing. We spent a lot of time sitting in front of our tent staring at the mountain.
And you're not one to sit still.
I don't sit still. I'm doing something.
Always.
Reading something. Even if I'm relaxing, I'm reading something. We just sat there. Did nothing. And it was actually one of the most relaxing trips I've ever taken.
Would you go back?
I would.
Okay. Just for a mellow feeling?
I would go back for the entire experience for the most part.
I don't know if you catch me on that ranch. Mellow or not.
So anyway, we mentioned that it's very mellow there, the most relaxing place we've been. And James says that the whole ranch has a calming effect, not just on people, but animals as well.
Really?
He mentioned wasps in the area. Typically wasps can be kind of aggressive. They don't sting anybody on the ranch. They don't seem to bother anyone on the ranch. And the coyotes, when they come onto the property, don't bother anything. He has quite a few chickens. He says they don't even bother the chickens when they pass through the ranch, which is
pretty uncharacteristic.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I'm not saying coyotes are vicious animals. All they want to do is eat everything. But, they're an opportunist
it's a free
animal.
meal.
Yeah. They see something, they're going to take it.
Yeah, but they've never nothing's ever really tried to go after the chickens. And I believe it because it is a very chill feeling. And it kind of goes back to that, he said that the ETs want us to stop fighting each other, stop fighting the planet, and to, take care of the planet, basically, is what they're trying to say. So if James is trying to do that on his property there, then I would imagine everything is getting along. It completely makes sense to me, and I just had this epiphany right now that it makes total sense. If that's what he's saying and teaching on his property, then it makes complete sense that when you're there, you would feel completely relaxed and peaceful, and things wouldn't start arguing with other things.
That's fair.
So
That's fair.
While we were there, we did eventually witness stuff.
How long did it take it to happen?
That night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if we had been up the night before, we would have seen stuff.
Right. So you just seen it the night you got there, but we're talking you actually visually saw something.
We saw things.
About 24 to 36 hours after we're getting there.
Yes. So There were points of light that moved in kind of like a wobble pattern or like a zigzag sort of. Satellites typically move in a distinct pattern. They're going point A to point B. They don't stray from that path. These things went out of a straight line path. They were not traveling in a straight line.
Gotta ask. Airplane, helicopter?
Not to my knowledge, they were too high for those things.
Okay, weather balloon maybe? That's like a common thing they like to throw down
I don't
too.
know. I've never seen a weather balloon at night. I don't know that they light up to that point, but it wasn't just that. We saw lights that would grow. You'd see it like there's a star, then all of a sudden it would almost disappear. And then it would do what James calls the powering up, and it would get super, super bright, and then it would shoot off.
Oh.
And there were other lights that would blink, like I'd say in a random pattern, but I say random in that it wasn't the rhythmic blinking that airplane lights do. It was almost like Morse code, like communication.
Okay.
But I'm not saying it was Morse code. I'm just saying that's kind of what it was like.
Morse code like.
Yeah, it's dashes and dots, and that's kind of what it was doing. Like it was sending a message. It was pretty amazing.
Okay.
For the most part.
Intriguing.
Yeah, it was amazing. There's no other word for it. It was pretty amazing. And I can't say I've seen things since, but I have not seen anything like I've seen at the ranch.
So you're telling me that you've seen things, but just nothing like this ranch. Mm-hmm. This ranch has a mellowing effect, and for some weird reason, UFOs are seen 3,000 times a month. Mm-hmm. That's 36,000 times a year. Mm-hmm. And there hasn't been Fox 5, CNN, no news channel out there to see anything?
I think there have been news things out there since the field trip with Paranormal State. James does not invite outside groups to the ranch like he used to.
Oh, why?
Because after all the fangirls, there were more than just girls, but after all the fans left, they had basically trashed the place. The bathhouse, I can vouch for the women's bathhouse. It was a mess. Paper everywhere, water all over the floor. And that's not what it was like when we got there. We were actually pretty impressed with his bathhouse. It had several stalls. It had showers. It was very nice. Not what we expected.
And correct me if I'm wrong, was there a charge to go in?
It was
here?
like $25. Well, there was a charge for the field trip. We had to pay $25 a night for the extra nights of camping, and then we paid for the field trip. I don't know how much of that money for the field trip went to James, but it included our food, the catered food, and the programming.
You would think that would, in that fee, they have somebody come clean up, make sure they keep that facility or that area clean.
You would think that adults would have the sense to pick up their trash and not completely mess up somebody's property.
Which is kind of sad to hear, you know? This is the situation where it only takes one to ruin it for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, and his teaching is keep the earth clean, take care of the earth, and they basically trashed his property.
And then basically, hallelujah, peace out, ain't nobody worried. We got what we needed.
Yeah, I mean, there was trash. The bathhouses were the worst. There was trash laying around here and there, but it's like you just don't do that.
I don't get people. That's sad to hear. Very sad, but go ahead, continue. Sorry.
So anyway, like I said, we came a day early. We were staying an extra day, so everybody else left. An interesting story that happened, which was our first interaction from somebody who comes to the ranch on their own, without a group, outside person.
So there's a separate entity that's coming by themselves.
Yep, the field trip's over.
Freaking flyer?
I have no idea.
Okay.
We're sitting on the bench there at the Field of Dreams. It's in the evening. It's not dark out. We're not stargazing at this point. The stars aren't out. We're just chilling, looking at the mountain.
Which is beautiful.
It is gorgeous. This guy comes up to us. The only way I can describe him is that it was Santa Claus. Like, it was Santa Claus. He had the white beard. He had the white hair. He's wearing a pair of, I call them dungarees. Just totally channeled my grandmother in saying that word. I don't know why I said it. He had overalls, jean overalls. You're laughing. I seriously my grandmother used that word all the time. I have no idea where that came from. He had jean overalls on.
Okay.
He had a black t-shirt underneath the overalls that had...
Santa went black for Christmas.
It had like a white design on it that was some sort of spaceship type thing.
Okay.
You couldn't really read it because of the bib on the overalls. And he had a flannel shirt kind of as a jacket, which I do that style all the time. And he had a straw hat, a wide brim straw hat on.
That boy.
But it was Santa Claus.
Get him, Santa.
It looked like Santa. Heavy set guy. I mean, looked like Santa, body, shape, everything.
If he walked away after you talked to him and said, ho, 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 I'll be done,
I would have died.
done.
He did not say ho, ho, ho at all that I heard. However, he was kind of talking himself outside his tent, which his tent was not where ours was located. Our tent had been allowed to be in that field. Usually people camp outside of that area and in more the parking area. So he was in the parking area near the cars, and he's kind of coming out of his tent. We noticed it looked like he was talking to somebody. And Kelly had to go get something out of the car. So she goes to the car and she comes back and she's like, James, you're not going to believe this. She's like, he has an alien head.
What?
Like a fake alien head sitting in a dog bed. Right? So I'm dying at this point. And
No
she's
way.
like, and he's calling it Thor. He apparently was out there. He's like, hey, Thor, buddy, how you doing? You like your bed? How you doing, Thor? I shit you not.
Oh my, why Thor?
I don't know. I don't know. And I think he had a VW bus. Like it doesn't get any more stereotypical than that.
Oh my God,
yeah.
Jamie!
I know. And some other his friends of his showed up too. That apparently they must either come there. Well, he asked us who to talk to about camping. So it must have been his first time, but he must go to different UFO things with these other people that showed up too because they knew each other.
He must have brought the Avengers.
I don't know. I have no idea where Thor came from. He was an older guy. I doubt it was the Avengers. You go Avengers. I don't think it was Avengers.
Oh my God, I'm
It
sorry.
was bad. That's okay.
Oh God, I bet you I would have paid. Okay, I would really have paid the $25 just to see Kelly's face.
Yeah,
Her face, I bet you
She's-
was like,
let me tell
what
you.
the?
she is far better at filtering her facial expressions than I am.
Okay,
I
at that
can't
point-
filter them. Except I can read her like a book, and
Oh
like
my God.
in situations I can't even look at her because that'll be the end.
Oh my God, my eyes are getting all watery laughing at that. I'm telling you, her face is probably like, what the?
Oh, she was
just
like,
happened?
oh, it was hilarious.
Oh my!
I mean, we still talk about this story. This story is told all the time.
This is
we go back-
legendary.
It is. My biggest regret is that I did not have a photo of him. Like,
You
I
should have taken
did
one.
not take a photo.
And Thor.
And Thor. Well, Thor was that would have been too obvious. I could have probably taken a picture of him and not have been so obvious that I was taking a picture, but to walk up and say, hey, can I take a picture of your alien head? I wouldn't have done that because at this point,
Come here, Thor.
there's not many people there. There's only one other person left from the field trip group. It was a woman, and an older woman, so it's just us. There was another group camping in an RV, but they left. They got freaked out and they left.
They got freaked out because of Santa?
No, they got freaked out in general for
Oh,
some reason.
okay.
And they left.
Yeah,
So it's just us.
I don't want to piss off Santa. He might get a lump of coal.
I don't know.
I'm a child.
I mean, I know why. I found out later in a chat group online that they actually said they just had this creepy feeling and
Like something was watching them.
no, just that they shouldn't be there and they left. And then they came back the next morning for the RV.
That's fair. That's fair. That's creepy, but fair.
I do want to say that because I did read that. I did interact with them in a chat group of people who had gone on this trip. They mentioned it, and I said, well, I don't want to I don't want to say too much too soon.
No, that's fair.
But that night we watched the sky, saw all the same stuff all over again. And James uses a pointer to point out things, one of the green laser lights to point out
Just
stuff in the sky.
points in the sky.
He points it, and he'll point to them, and they'll flicker back.
Yeah, how about no?
Yeah, he'll point it, and then whatever he's pointing at will flick its light back at him. Like, yep, see you down there. Hey, what's up?
That's not cool. I'm not going to look at laser pointers ever again.
Yeah.
Jamie,
Yeah.
you just said that so casual.
Mm-hmm.
No.
It was awesome. It was really cool.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool. It was, and I wasn't scared. Like, when I was younger, I saw a UFO. I was like 10. And Kelly was with me and her mom, and it kind of went up in the sky, and then it stopped, and then it would come down and stop, and then it would go off to the side, and then eventually it just shot off and was gone.
I'm going to put this out there right now. I don't think I want you and Kelly near each other. Like, I think Kelly's a wonderful person from what I heard, but you two come here together, right? We sit down, we all do this show. That little clicky-clacky we heard there on the door, I don't think that's going to be the least of our problems. You catch my drift? I think it's going to be all hell breaks loose. Because it seems like when you two are together, weird things happen.
Okay, this is really funny.
Oh, gosh.
But that's not untrue. We went to the Mothman Festival. We drove through like 3 or 4 tornadoes. There was torrential rain so heavy we almost looked for a hotel to pull over. And then the fog is thicker than any fog I've ever seen. And we finally get to her mom's house, and the next day, it's a beautiful day, and we think, oh, it's going to be a nice day. So we make our way to the Mothman Festival in Point Pleasant, and now we have biblical flooding. The Ohio River is over its bank. Every river in the area is over its bank. So we pull out a map. This is before we had GPS. We pull out a map, and we find an alternate route, and we go that way. We drive past, not kidding you, 2 vultures sitting on this dead tree above a rusting out hearse. I'm not joking. We drive through the mountains of West Virginia. We drive through there. So we finally get to the town. We do our thing. We're checking out this abandoned asylum. We get shot at. So then we leave. We're heading back to my aunt's house, and we're trying to figure out how to get back to the road that brought us there. And we stop and we ask somebody, and this guy's like, well, the river's off the road. You can take the way you would normally go. And he said, and the road that you came in on, what time did you come through? And we told him, he goes, well, you missed being wiped out by a mudslide by like a couple minutes. So a mudslide had come down and wiped out the detour we had taken.
So just to put
most people say that if they come with us, there's going to be some sort of issue.
Okay, and you, for some weird reason, want to go do ghost hunting stuff. I come with you, and I have a weird feeling she's going to want to come with us, and you want me to go with you.
Nobody's died yet.
Yet! Jamie, yet!
Anyway, we're getting way off topic.
Oh, way off topic? I'm trying to save my ass right now, okay? That's what I'm trying to do here, okay?
So when I saw this UFO as a little kid, I got so scared that we were supposed to sleep on the boat, which was like a special privilege. And I was like, nope, not doing it. And I think Kelly was pretty pissed at me because she was like, come on, it was a light in the sky. Let's get in the boat. But nope, they scare me. Nope.
Not today, Satan.
Pretty much. So, but I didn't have the same reaction at the UFO Ranch.
Okay.
It was really cool and it was amazing, but it wasn't terrifying.
Made you feel young again?
I wouldn't go that far.
Let me put you back in the mindset of the 10-year-old.
Well, I don't think I've left the mindset of a 10-year-old, so... So I did ask Kelly her thoughts on our trip out there. And I'm just going to read you what she sent me. She said, I really wasn't expecting anything. I kept an open mind, though. My biggest reaction was surprise. I couldn't believe what we were seeing. As far as the weird lights James always talked about, he wasn't making that shit up. Some of his other stories I can't vouch for, though, because I didn't see any of that stuff. She's referring to Bat Squatch, Bigfoot.
Okay.
There was definitely a very noticeable energy or vibration that the place had, at least when we were there. It was very prominent. Anyone who was even somewhat sensitive would feel like they were being hit over the head with it. It was very strong. I don't know if it came from the land or if his group had been doing energy work or who knows. Maybe the aliens had messed with the vibration of the place or if it was a combination of all those things. But I've rarely been somewhere that felt so intense. The last day we were there, it felt like a giant wind was trying to push us out, but there was no actual wind. So that was what I was referencing. The group of girls who was staying in the RV, they said they just felt like they weren't supposed to be there anymore. And they got freaked out and they left the RV and they went and stayed in the local hotel and then came back for the RV in the morning.
Which is kind of weird because, we were just talking about how the place feels relaxing.
Yeah, but at this point, in the morning we got up at the butt crack of dawn, packed up our stuff and left and went and hung out at the airport for several hours.
Like it tells you when you need to
go. It just was uncomfortable. And that's what she's referring to. Like we were done, but after the place was left a mess, that's not surprising that it would be like, you guys need to go.
Probably could pick up on what you call it, the energy that was probably put off there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, sorry.
That's okay. Years after we visited the ranch, Jimmy Church, who is another radio host, his show is called Fade to Black. He was at the ranch for a UFO convention. And while he was there, he and others saw what they said looked like an opening in the mountain that was about 500 feet wide and a few feet tall. And it was near the top. And they thought that it was possibly a hangar for a spaceship.
Okay. Now, I do know that Travel Channel. I love the Travel Channel. Shout out to the Travel Channel. Anyways, so I do know that the Travel Channel actually pulled this guy's video up, Jimmy's video up, and they went and they brought him there, and they were talking about it, and they flew a helicopter up to the spot he said looked like a door. Now they did say they debunked it, said it, wasn't any kind of door that they've ever seen. But let's get real here for a second, okay? You're talking about a extraterrestrial life form. We're talking about something that we can't even comprehend. It takes us hundreds of years to travel to certain planets in our orbit system. These people can jump from places to places. So clearly they know something we don't. So you think you tell me right now they ain't going to camouflage themselves up there on that mountain?
Yeah, I could see where they could say, oh, it's just rocks up there. But, I mean, if you're talking about a life form that has the ability to be way beyond us in technology, why would they, it's not going to be like a garage door with the windows and the sign that says knock to come in or something. It's not going to be like, hey, spacecraft enter here with an arrow.
Like, come on. And see, the one thing I felt a little bit on that show when they did that to him was like they were out to prove him wrong, instead of trying to understand maybe what he has saw. But also at the same time, I do know that they need to sell ratings, they need to sell views. It's a great show, but some things like that do irritate me.
I think a lot of times they come out to debunk it. Like, instead of coming out, I always say you have to be open-minded, but you have to have skepticism as well. You can't come out and be like, everything is a ghost or everything is Bigfoot or everything is a UFO. You can't go there because, first of all, everything is not any of those things. And most of the time, the percentage of things that you would see are probably, most of them are not going to be paranormal.
Right.
So you have to have some skepticism. You have to be able to question it. Was that noise I heard? Was it the pipes? Is there the house settling? Is there an air conditioner on? Any one of a number of things. You have to question whatever it is that you're experiencing it. And when you can't come up with a logical explanation, that's when you can start saying, okay, I think it might be XYZ. So I have a problem with shows that go into it right away. They're going in to debunk it. They're not going into, not that they have to go in to prove it, but you should go into it saying, let's see what's going on, honestly see what's going on.
Yeah, you should weigh everything 50-50. You
exactly.
know what I mean? And I agree with you 100% on that. I feel like a lot of people go into something trying to prove it either right or wrong. And again, if you look hard enough at something, you're going to find what you want, right?
Oh, yeah.
So people go to UFO Ranch looking for UFOs, not saying that they're not there, but maybe you see a light in the sky and it might be something that's easily explained. They're like, oh, it's a UFO. Or someone else goes there and they go, well, it's supposed to be a mellowing experience. I didn't feel mellow. And it's like, you poke enough holes in things, it's all going to come crumbling down. But I think the biggest thing is personal experience. You should go and personally experience it. But you won't catch me on this ranch.
There's already talk of trying to go back. Maybe not camping on the ranch this time. Maybe staying in the local hotel. Because he does, while he doesn't invite outside groups, he does have like stargazing nights where you pay like $15 to go and stargaze, and you can camp there as well, like we did. I would love to experience it without all the crappy people.
Yeah, it sounds like your experience started off crappy, then finished pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it started pretty well. When we didn't have all of the people, I mean, we had a good time during that field trip. We met some amazing people.
Right.
We had some amazing interactions. Michelle Belanger, who was the psychic they had on Paranormal State, she is awesome. She has a phenomenal singing voice, and she sat on the hill singing while we walked the labyrinth stones that he has there. That's like a meditation sort of thing.
Okay.
She stayed at campfires and had we just had these great conversations with her. I met people who were there on the field trip that one of them was Francine, who was from Banff, Canada, and talked about how the time she lived in Israel and what that was like. And I mean, we had some really deep connections with people.
Right.
That I really wasn't expecting that.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, it is, because I'm an introvert. Kelly's kind of, we new people are, we don't embrace, we're totally opposite from you, Tim. You want to hug everybody.
Hey,
and that's awesome. I mean, truth be told, we wouldn't be doing this podcast if not for you. I mean, seriously.
I don't know about that.
No, I still would have been researching until I was 85 years old. So.
Well, next thing is to push you for your book.
Yeah, whatever.
That's going to happen.
Sure. So.
I got a secret weapon for that.
Yeah, okay. Meeting those people and talking and having those deep conversations, that was unexpected and it was awesome. So not everything was negative about that group, and we did enjoy ourselves, but at the same time, just the way things were left, and it was disrespectful. And
yeah.
So the day before was great. The first night, it's a shame we slept through it, but I
think you're all right.
Yeah.
The 3-hour time difference is a little tough.
It was very tough. Very tough. So it was a pretty cool experience. And there's definitely something going on there. Definitely something going on there.
I like it. I guess this brings us to the conclusion part of it.
This is the end of episode 3.
So episode 4 is going to be?
Missing 411, Dennis Martin's disappearance.
Okay, awesome. So I can't wait to dive into that. I love Missing 411. I don't like the situation of Missing 411. I just love the mystery and the craziness that goes behind it. Well, Jamie, outstanding job today. I love this. Tell everyone where they can find us.
Well, you can find us at www.lurkpodcast.com.
What?
And from there, you can find the links to our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter social media pages. And I encourage you to follow us there, because we do post photos that we discuss in the episode will be posted there. Links will be posted in our show notes.
I hope everyone has a great night, Jamie. Great job today. Can't wait till next time.
All right. See y'all later. Keep lurking.